Hello everyone and welcome to the FPL Armband. I'm Chris. Kieran is here too. Hello Kieran, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Excited. Only something like 8 or 7 days to go,
I
something like that.
know.
So yeah.
Yeah, next Friday night. I think it's a good time to talk about pre-season a little bit and find out how some
Mm.
teams are doing before the start of the season. So it feels like it's been quite a few weeks actually since the game came out now. Have you been doing
Yeah.
loads of drafts?
Um, I haven't done loads, honestly. I've been trying to just, get some info, see
Mm,
what people are doing in preseason, and yeah, there's kind of almost no point before that, really. Just, there could be loads of injuries in preseason, and seeing United getting a few injuries, and obviously they're not that fantasy relevant, but
yeah.
like it happens, obviously. So yeah, there's no point planning too much until I think my last sort of drafts will be done post Community Shield, I guess. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same. I feel like this weekend coming, we're probably going to get like the last of the pre-season games with most of like, let's say, most Euro players and then back at least in the squad,
yeah.
especially the English ones, so and Spanish ones. So yeah, I think there's still a lot up in the air. So should we have a talk a little bit about what we have seen in pre-season so far, and yeah, go a little bit from there before our show next week.
Yep, let's do it.
Cool. All right. Do you want to kick us off? Of
Yeah, so we're just going to go through kind of like some of the teams that have
mhm,
interested us and a few of the players in each of those teams. So, yeah, Spurs I'll start with.
mhm,
Yeah, interesting start to the season with Leicester away and then Everton at home in the first two. Those two look like games that you can target,
mm,
and then if you possibly want to move off them, because after that they got Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, which is obviously tough. But
yeah.
possibly, our London derby sometimes delivers goals at least. So yeah, their form in preseason though has been really good. They've won every single game, but they've conceded. I think it is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so 6 goals, or 7 goals actually. Sorry. In the preseason as well. So obviously the defense has been shaky, even though
Mm,
I think they've had most of their starters. I think Romero hasn't played, but that's roughly about it. I think Van de Ven has played a couple.
mhm.
I'm not sure exactly, but anyway, yeah, the defense is never one we really target unless we're looking at Porro, which I mean, I think Porro is possibly a good option. Um, yeah, maybe I'll talk about him first, I suppose. So 5.5 million, he's 28% owned,
Mm,
which I think is possibly down to auto pick teams still, but
yeah.
that is quite high. And someone I guess we should probably be aware of if he sort of does anything in
Mm.
those first two, we could be seeing our ranks go down, obviously. So,
He's the
but
third
he's had
highest picked overall defender, actually. Yeah, I'm quite surprised about that.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he got 3 goals, 8 assists in last season. 2 goals in preseason so far. So he's obviously still being given license to
Hmm.
attack.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think he's obviously the pick of the 5.5 million defenders. There isn't really much around his price point. I think he'll be a decent cash cow if you want to go down from him
Mm.
after those first two. If someone like Matson starts to look like he's nailed down his team in the Villa team,
Yeah.
yeah, there's places to go. So I think he's possibly someone that could be good to start with and move down from. Um, yeah, like I said, I think the first two are really good for them.
Yeah.
I could see him getting a goal in the Everton game, maybe something like that. So the Leicester game is probably going to be pretty open. I'm not really sure how Leicester play anymore, to be honest. Not really done enough research, but they used to be attacking, didn't they,
Mm.
in the Prem? So that could be an open game. Yeah, someone else I was looking at, like Son, 10 million. He's obviously quite expensive now. Did he go? Yeah, he went up by a million, didn't he? He started at 9 last year. So, yeah, he has been playing in the 9 in most of the games in preseason
Hmm.
and played, 9 most of last year, and then sometimes off the left. So yeah, there's talk about Solanke, isn't there now? Which
Yeah.
um, yeah, is obviously a bit of a concern for Son. Maybe it's a bit of more of a concern for the people who've been playing through the middle. Kulusevski's been playing through the
Hmm.
middle in
Hmm.
preseason as well a bit. So as a sort of false 9 sort of character and possibly like a central kind of attacking 8.
Mm.
So does that affect him in his game time if Solanke comes in? Like they're probably not going to buy Solanke and bench him.
No.
You'd think he'd be the starter. So yeah, I was looking at Kulusevski. He's only 2% owned. He's had a really good preseason as well. He's got
Is he
1 goal, 4 assists.
6'5" as well? It's quite
Six
inexpensive,
point
isn't it?
five, yeah, he's in that bracket of the 6.5 million mids, which is there is quite a lot of them. So
Mm.
yeah, Johnson as well, and in the same team, 6.5 too. So it just comes down to like one of those guys is probably going to get miss out if Solanke comes in. Obviously, there's Werner there, there's Madison there still as well. Like there's Charlton, I think is still injured. But Kulusevski, yeah, 1 goal, 4 assists in preseason. Like, he's got good form. We've had decent kind of history of picking him in the early weeks, haven't we? And he's done well for us. So yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this Spurs first two, at least. Like, there's definitely some points to be had there for Spurs.
I think it's strange that Son is only down. I'm just having a look at his ownership now, down at 11.5%, and that's like 11th of all mids. I mean, you compare him with the other premiums from last season, and he's right amongst it. And in terms of his total goal outputs, 27 attacking returns. He's pretty much going to play every game. He's on penalties. Spurs aren't obviously great for that extra clean sheet point, but based on how they've changed that bonus point system as well, he should see an increase in that from the shots on target and the fouls. So
true.
I think he's being overlooked compared to the other premiums. And you're right, game week 1, I expect it to be an open game against Leicester. He's had a good pre-season too. I mean, I've had Son in pretty much my draft for like the last 2 weeks, and I don't really think I'm close to getting rid of him either. I think he's just at a good price this season.
Yeah, he's been in a few of mine. It's if you're looking at Salah and Haaland, like, he's pretty much impossible to pick as well if you're going that way. And if you want someone like Trent as well, and sort of like at least one premium defender, like, he gets to that point where you're just like, I can't fit him in.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking at Kulusevski. Is like, I'd love a bit of that attack. But I think, if Slanky comes, then that's obviously a bit of a risk.
That does change it a lot.
But obviously Son, yeah, he's nailed on. He's the captain. He'll play wherever, I guess. Less good if he's off the side, but maybe not. So yeah, I wasn't expecting you to say I haven't seen your draft, but yeah, Son and yours interesting.
Yeah, he's been in, like I say, been in there for a while, and I like him as a pick. 10 million. I think it's obviously 0.5 behind Palmer. I think he's a proven FPL player. They've had no manager change. They've had a good preseason, most of the squads together, and like you say, they've got a really good first couple of fixtures. I think there isn't much to dislike about it, and we know he can be explosive. He's a captaincy option, so yeah, he's like a reliable pick, I think. So for me, who's potentially not going to have Salah, he's someone that's outperformed him, like, from a golden boot point of view a couple seasons ago. He's definitely going to play. He's in a team that's not having a manager change. So I think there's a lot going for him. So that's why I'm surprised that he's not more highly owned, really.
No, I can see the appeal. Absolutely. It's just if you're not going for Salah or something like that, then he probably is the someone you go to. If not Saka or Palmer or whatever. But it's with players and managers looking for Salah and Haaland to start with, of just as being like, I'd rather own them than not. Then Son is just going to be overlooked. So you're the brave one, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Any more on Spurs?
No, let's move on.
Okay. The ones I've mainly wanted to chat about tonight are essentially because we don't know each team's form, and going off preseason is obviously difficult. It's just I've been trying to look at teams that have got good fixtures and try on paper and think about their assets. So Chelsea, I think, bar the home game against City in game week 1, they've then got away against Wolves, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Forest. So I think, and then after that Liverpool. But that's pretty solid run for the first 8 game weeks there. But defensive players, I can't see any merit in having them. They've been really poor in pre-season, 12 conceded in 5 games. Admittedly, they've had some tough fixtures, but they're just making such sloppy mistakes. Managers said about how unhappy he is with how they're playing out from the back, and I kind of think as well, apart from Palmer and Cucurella, I can't really think of maybe Enzo recently, and many more first team players that they've got to come back. I'd say the majority of their team are ones that you would expect to be almost first choice, and just don't think they've done that well, really. The highlight, I suppose, the one everyone's getting excited about is Nkunku, because he's 6.5 million and he's listed as a midfielder. He's actually 17% ownership, so he's nearly 10% higher than Son, which is mad. But he's actually level with Madueke in pre-season, who I'm not sure who Palmer's going to replace. Maybe it will be him, but Madueke's matched him in pre-season with 3 goals and 1 assist, and you wouldn't think it because he's owned by just 0.6%. So I kind of feel like the name of Nkunku, and Madueke had a good end to last season as well. So I kind of think he's been a little bit overlooked. He's not a player I'd pick, but I just think it's interesting that balance there.
I think he's a bit expensive.
No, I agree.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, if he was 6 and maybe in the 5.5 bracket, I think he'd be talked about a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, he probably is going to be the starter. I can't see. Well, we don't even know what he thinks about Sterling and Mudryk. Who knows? I guess so. It probably is Jackson, Nkunku, Madueke, and Palmer as a front four. So.
Yeah. No, I think there's still a lot up in the air about the Chelsea team. Like they've had is it Guai? Like he's a 5 million centre forward.
Yeah.
He came from Barcelona. He's only been playing because Jackson's not back. I don't really have the love for Jackson. It's a difficult one, Chelsea. I feel like we might be saying this a lot tonight, but the final pre-season game will tell us about where Palmer fits into that team. At the moment, I kind of think Palmer is perhaps a bit expensive to have in my game week 1 team, despite his amazing sort of season last year. I think it's just the uncertainty of how they're playing at the moment doesn't fill me with confidence to make him a game week 1 pick, really.
Yeah, I think I agree. Their fixtures has given me a little bit of a deja vu from last season because they had the start of after like 1 or 2 bad games, they had like a really good run, didn't they?
Yeah.
We also got on to Jackson and doubles and possibly triples, and they weren't good at the start of the season, but then they started to come into their own at the end, didn't they? But yeah, I think Nkunku is certainly going to be a good option. He's in my team. Like he has the history of being a great player. And people are worried about his fitness and stuff, and he's said himself he's probably not 100%, but he's played 3 90s in a row in the preseason now. So if that doesn't say he's fit to me, then I don't know what does.
Yeah,
so I think he's just a good pick. Like he'll if he doesn't play 90s, then whatever, but he probably will, to be honest. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think he'll play. It looks like he'll play number 10 or wide left, I guess. So yeah, he's definitely provided like a challenge to Palmer, which I quite like. So, yeah, I think that a lot of movement will happen one way or another after that City game, depending on how he looks, because it's a televised game.
Have you seen there's been plenty of people on Twitter who've got Nkunku in their teams and they're benching him versus City? Would you advise that? I wouldn't do that.
No, I feel like the theme from last season, which obviously I'm not sure if it's going to continue this, but of how open the big games were. Like Chelsea City was 4-4 last season. I appreciate it's a different manager, but their game in pre-season was high scoring as well, wasn't it? Was it 4-2 in the end?
4-2, yeah.
So yeah, I think anything can happen on the first day of the season. Teams can't quite up to speed. So yeah, no, I wouldn't bench him.
I agree.
Who do you want to talk about next? Or do you want to do ABBA penalty system?
Up to you, I don't mind.
Go on, you talk next.
All right, okay. Okay, so Crystal Palace, they're an interesting team to everyone, I think. The Glasner effect has been genuinely spicy, and they've been scoring loads of goals. Like, he has turned them around into a decent team. It's like one of those teams that we're picking from quite regularly now. So, their sort of preseason form has been pretty, mixed, but they've had a 1-1 draw, a 3-6 win, a 3-1 win, and a 3-1. Okay, so that's not that mixed actually, but they've been scoring loads of goals. Their fixtures are pretty good to start as well, like Brentford away, West Ham at home, Chelsea away is not that bad.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay. Yeah.
And then Leicester at home, Man United at home. Man United now, and then Everton away. So the first 6, those are good fixtures.
Pretty good,
obviously losing Elise is going to be a big miss, but Kamada from
I like the look of him.
Eintracht Frankfurt has come in. I think he was. He looks good. He's another 5.5 million option. He's like an attacking CM, I would say, or possibly a 10. He looks good. And I think he's got a goal and 2 assists in preseason. So he's had a full preseason with them as well. So he's obviously accumulated and doing well so far. So Mateta apparently is supposed to be back in time for game week 1. He's had his break pre-Olympics, he didn't play in the Euros or anything like that. So and
he looked hot in the Olympics as well. He's scored goals in that as well. He has. So he's been keeping up his form. And they've just signed Sarr from Watford as well. Ismail Sarr, he used to be a pick in FPL as well. Yeah, he had his sort of moments as well. So that's another depth option for them for replacing Elise. So Gahey is possibly moving to Newcastle, which is interesting. But at the end of the season, one of their defensive metrics were, I think it was around about top 4. And to be honest, he wasn't starting most of those games because he was injured. So
I don't see that as an issue for the defense. Yeah, Henderson appears to be winning the goalkeeper role, or like he possibly is if he does win that. Possibly the best 4.5 keeper.
I think Johnson looks like he's going to go as well. There was apparently he asked to leave, so there's going to be a 4 million pairing there, which would be quite nice.
Funnily enough, I heard it apparently Nottingham Forest are
oh god, what
interested in them.
They've
so
got loads of
like
goalkeepers.
Sells, Miguel, like Johnson. It's just, that's bloody stupid. Like, Forest make weird transfers like that all the time, don't they?
They do.
And they had that Vlachodimos guy, and they've had so many keepers, and Turner, and just not working for them. Yeah. But yeah, so Henderson and whatever other keeper
Matthews he's called.
Okay. So that seems like a good option for the 8.5 if that happens. And then obviously in most people's teams, I would guess, I don't know if he's in your team, Eze at 7 million.
Yeah, 33% owned already he is.
Exactly. So he's not played any minutes in preseason as far as I know. But we expect him to be back and playing their last preseason game for sure. It should be the final cog in that the sort of team that's been looking good so far. And he's had plenty of games with Glasgow already. So 11 goals, 5 assists in 23, 24, 10 goals, 5 assists in 22, 23. And this was only with around like 2,600, 2,000 minutes. So if he could just up that and just like stop getting injured and just get to the like 3,000-ish minutes mark, that would be, I think he could be one of those players that we just keep in for a long time, to be honest. So but he had some sort of hype at the start of last season, and he was pretty poor.
He was. That's something to be wary of for sure. But maybe that was because that was under. Was that under Hodgson then, though?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm pretty confident in him. I don't think he's going anywhere. That price bracket seems good for you. You can possibly go down, and you can possibly get some money to go up if you need to as well. So I like him, and I think Palace defense, like Anderson has had full preseason, Mitchell's had full preseason. I think they're good picks. Anderson and himself, if you want to go down for Munoz. I've got Munoz in my team at the moment. I like his attacking sort of metrics. They all look really good. 5 million is another way of just possibpossibly getting onto someone like Maatsen as well. Like I said, he's just a good price point. I think a 5 million defender seems like a good idea to me. Just to have that 0.5 in the bank if you can go the luxury go down to a 4.5 or just move sideways to someone who's looking really good. So their defense looks good. Munoz looks good. Possibly the double up with Henderson. I mean, I don't love that, but the other 4.5 keepers are not looking amazing. So Palace look like a good team to target. There's
lots to like, and you're right about their fixture run at the start. I think they're definitely a team I've got at the moment, like you, and 33% of other people have got Eze. I think it's funny that Mateta's that 0.5 million more, even though he's not got penalties and the extra clean sheet and the extra goal point, but it's just how they've priced it.
Yeah, he is a bit overpriced, I think. Yeah.
So another team with a good start to the season, I'm sure you'd agree, Fulham, have a really decent looking run. So after that opening game against Man United, which I think is also a pretty good game, really, like opening night swing at a team that have got a lot of defensive issues. Obviously, Martinez is going to be back, but other than that, I imagine it'll be Evans partnering him, because I think even Maguire's maybe still got a little bit of a knock. But
is he still injured? God.
Yeah, I think so. But so I think they're worth looking at because of the good start to the season. So after that, they've got 3 home games in 5, all decent games: Leicester, West Ham, and Newcastle. And in between that, they've got an away game against Ipswich. So
2 promoted teams as well in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even after that Newcastle game, they got Forest when it gets a little bit trickier. After that was City away and Aston Villa. But they've done well in pre-season. They've played 3, 1, 2. They got a final game coming this weekend. They've scored in every game, which in my head, I kind of think of Fulham from last season as being like a free-flowing, like quite attacking team. But I was surprised their XG was not good. They were in the bottom half of the table, 1.3 XG per game last season. So Smith Rowe's the big money move. Is he going to make them that much better from an attacking point of view? So I had a look at like his historical data, because that's all we've got to go on. Obviously, he's coming at 5.5 million, I should say, 4.5% ownership at the moment. He's played less than 500 minutes total across his last 2, like let's say, full seasons when he was with Arsenal. Which time he had 19 returns, so he was averaging a return every other game. In the last pre-season game, he scored from the other player who is definitely of interest, which is Robinson, because there was a heat map shown, which I haven't got to hand here, but Robinson was like the third highest player forward on the average position map, like basically playing left wing. And I think for 4.5 million, he is probably the best attacking wing back option we've got at 4.5 million. So
Yep.
very slight competition with Sessegnon, who's gone back there, but from what I read of people who know about Fulham, it's going to be very minimal. He had 2 assists in pre-season. This is Robinson now, sorry, and he had 6 attacking returns last season. Small level of ownership as well, with just 6%. But I kind of think with him and another 4.5 million who they rotate with, someone like a Palace defender, I think you get 2 good, or you can get a very good option there and play him in 3 of the first 5 games comfortably at home, and you potentially get an attacking return there. I quite like him. What do you think of Robinson?
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's been in a good few of my drafts. I think he's in my current one. Yeah, it's just whether you want to like possibly not do the rotating and just kind of save a bit of money and go a bit more expensive somewhere else. But I think he's a good option, and it's just these sort of players who look good and they often just get overlooked, and they churn over points across the season. And if you have them the whole season or something like that, and they just end up being absolutely good value. Yeah, he's going to do well. I don't see any risks with Sessegnon, to be honest. Obviously, Castagna on the other side is certainly a good option too. He popped up with some consistency. They're both 4.5. So, shame Leno is 5. Absolute shame.
Yeah, that is, because I think he would have been an auto pick. I think I'll be worse defensively because they're missing Paulinho.
Yes.
Maybe expect fewer clean sheets than last season. In terms of their other assets, it's Iwobi's done well in pre-season. Jimenez has done well. Muniz has done okay, 1 goal and 1 assist. I think he's probably, like we talked about this a little bit earlier, he's probably my pick of the 6 million or less midfielders. But I feel like you're choosing from a bunch of bad options. I don't think he's great. I think he's first choice, but I expect he'll get replaced most games around like the 70th or 80th minute for Jimenez, and there is a bit of threat there.
Yeah.
And he seems a good option to start the season with because of those opening fixtures. But I don't know. I don't feel like we've got a good third attacker spot.
I think there is okay option like Muniz, Calvert-Lewin, and Wood. I think are good option. Like and then like João Pedro at 5.5, I guess, and then also Armstrong at Southampton is 5.5. I don't mind Muniz. Like I think he's fine. Like he's more a bit of a pick because of the fixtures. I'm not necessarily like sold on him as an option because he had that purple patch and then he didn't do much else the rest of the season. Like is that just going to continue? Like it just seems a bit worrying to me. But then if you look at someone like Calvert-Lewin who's got really good fixtures too, seems to be fit in all of the preseason. Obviously that comes with risk in itself with owning him, but he's nailed on. His fixtures until game week 15 are really good. He's on penalties. But Muniz is not on penalties as far as we know, is he? Andreas is. So Wood is Wood on penalties?
No, don't think so. I think it's
no, it's Gibbs White, isn't it? So out of the 6 millions that are on penalties, that's Calvert-Lewin, and he's got the fixtures to do it, and he's really lowly owned. So
I can't trust him just because of his injury record.
There's obviously that risk too. Minutes risk for Muniz, minutes risk for Wood. Possible injury, X injury for Calvert-Lewin. Yeah.
Okay. I hadn't really considered Calvert-Lewin. I don't know if I really want to, but the penalties is a bit of a sway.
I think he's a good option. He's looked perfectly fit and fine, and Everton look better, to be honest. So I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who should we talk about next?
Newcastle.
Okay.
So they've got good fixtures to start as well. Southampton at home is obviously looking like a prime first game week fixture. Bournemouth away after that. Tottenham at home. There's plenty of goals in that game, I think. And then Wolves away, Fulham away, and then Man City home. So the first 6 are pretty decent altogether. Isaac, I think is possibly one of the highly owned players, or possibly is the most highest.
55% at the moment. I'm just having a look see if there's any higher, but
so there seems to be almost no reason to not pick him. The fixtures look so good. Full preseason as well. Didn't do anything with Sweden. Sweden weren't in the Euros. He's scoring in the preseason, got 3 goals. I believe Wilson is possibly injured again as well, so not fully fit. So yeah, like I said, he just seems to be someone you just like. His numbers were great last year, and there is no reason not to pick him. He's 8 million, is that right? 8.5. Yeah, 8.5. So
8.5,
yeah, fairly expensive, but possibly still underpriced for what he should be able to do. Like I could see him breaking 20 goals if he stays fit quite easily. So yeah, he's in for me 100%. I assume he'll be in yours too. And we saw what he did at the end of last season, like just kept scoring for fun. I got into him early. I had a couple of hat tricks in there from him, where he was under 20% EO or something like that, and it did, but you know, people caught on to him fast, and people are not gonna miss out on him this season. So I think it's own or be scared, to be honest.
21 goals last season.
Yes. Okay. So he's already broken the 20. Yeah, fair play. I think he's certainly a good capturing option. I have the armband on him at the moment as well. I think Southampton.
So do I. Yeah.
Southampton are probably going to be there for the taking, to be honest. They were mostly a possession-based team, as far as I know, in the EFL, and they're not going to be afforded that in the Premier League. So, yeah, I think Southampton are definitely going to be a team to target for attack, most definitely.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, to be honest. I think it's a good captaincy option for game week 1.
And then, obviously Gordon is not back yet fully. Well, I think he's come back, but he's not played any minutes as far as I know. They've got 2 pre-season games left, as far as I know. So he should start to get minutes there, but he obviously will be a decent enough pick.
Yeah.
But then someone I'm certainly looking at is Jacob Murphy, which seems crazy, but another 5.5 million guy and 0.7%, so not even 1% owned. He's had 4 goals, 3 assists in preseason. Like, that's the most form player I think anyone in the whole game. So to me, like, for those first few, like at least the first 2 to target, like he seemed like a great pick, and I don't think Almiron is an issue.
No.
Like, the only risk would be Barnes or Gordon going to the right and Barnes playing the left, and I don't think they've had time to do that, or they haven't tried to do that at all in preseason so far. So obviously Gordon hasn't been there, so I think that's just not a thing that's going to happen for a while. And Murphy, look at his form. Like, why would he not start the season? And he's had good. Whenever he plays, he seems to get returns as well for Newcastle. So, like, it just seems, for me, he seems to be one of those punts that you could just take in that bracket of just looking at those fixtures and then possibly moving off to another one. I like it a lot. Like, his form is great.
I didn't even realise he was 5.5 million, but you're right. His attacking returns 11 last season in just over the 1,100 minutes, so that's nearly like a return just over every game. So to start the season, if he looks like he's going to play that right wing, I think he could be a good option.
4 goals, 3 assists in preseason. Like, the man is on fire. Like, he's going to be taking a lot of confidence to the season. So let's just hope he doesn't, like, these last 2 preseason, he doesn't start to get benched and minutes get rid. Like, then obviously I'll have to get rid. But at the moment, I'm certainly looking at that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that pick, to be honest. I hadn't thought about him.
Yeah, and then defense. There was talk of Trivia leaving, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So I guess he's only just got back. So does that mean he will start the season? Who knows? Like, he is pretty old now, isn't he? But Hall has looked good. Lewis Hall, I think it's Lewis Hall.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, he's looked really good whenever he has played. But like, people are saying he will play the left back role, and then Livramento is possibly going to play the right back role. And then there's Byrne. Like, is Byrne going to start the season at
guess so.
Centre back? Probably, I would guess, because I think Botman's still out. So it's Shah and Byrne, I guess, and then it's probably Shah and Gahey if he comes in. But then where's Byrne going to go? Because he was captain when he was a few times when Trippier was out. So
he could have lost his
place. Is Byrne going to be left on the bench? Like, I don't know. He is reliable, of course. Like, he's a good sort of just like journeyman for them to just be across the pitch. And so I think he was a good pick when we thought Trippier was leaving, but Byrne, just like Livramento and Hall, like, I think they all could
like
be
waiting,
good picks.
aren't they?
Yeah, there's just I think they're too risky to pick. I think Pope at the 5 million could be okay, like fine. Like, I think their defense is going to be good still. So he's certainly not going to lose his place. So I think there's points in the Newcastle defense, but I think who you pick is just really tough.
Yeah, same. For me on their defense, it's like a wait and see. Like if I have a look at the fixtures over the first few, like Southampton, yes. Bournemouth away, probably not. Spurs at home, maybe. Wolves away, Fulham away, probably not. Then City at home, probably not. So yeah, there's maybe like 1 or 2 clean sheets there in the first, even up to Everton. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a 4.5 rotation would work for me. Wouldn't back them in the away games.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, another team to talk about who've got really solid starts to the season, but I would say their ownership is not like related to that. Is Forest? Like their highest owned player is still Morgan Gibbs White, and he's only on 7%. If you take a look at their fixtures, basically up until I've got quite a lot of them on the screen now, but let's just start. They start at home against Bournemouth, Southampton, Wolves. They've got the tricky away game against Liverpool, but then they've got Brighton, Fulham, Chelsea away, which, like we said, we don't expect at the moment based on Chelsea's form is going to be tough, but that's in October, so maybe things will change. Then Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Newcastle. So I think they've got like a nice run of fixtures to start the season. Nothing too scary, and off the back of last season with Nuno in charge, they were really well drilled from a defensive point of view. They had a great XGC last season. Average XGC of just 1.4 per game, which was the 4th best on average in the league. So they could be a sensible investment when most of their defensive line of 4.5 million, and like we talked about a little bit earlier, their goalkeeper line looks like it's going to be as well. They've done well in pre-season. They've played 5, won 3, drawn 1 and lost 1. They've kept 2 clean sheets in that time, which kind of bodes well. Yeah, the fixtures are good. The ownership is low. There's probably a few picks from each position. So Aina, I guess that's how you pronounce that.
It's just Aina.
Aina, who plays left back. He came into the team in the midway point of last season. It was getting forward quite well in pre-season. Some notes I read looked like he was combining well with Callum Hudson-Odoi on that side. We've still got Nico Williams there at 4.5. The defensive line, like Bolly, Murillo, Toffolo, like there's players there at 4.5 million who can rotate. Admittedly, their numbers from last season overall were poor, but I think if you're going to take a chance on them to start the season is good. Up front, I'll switch there. Wood is interesting. I felt like I've heard that Awoni is not back from injury for maybe like 3 or 4 weeks into the new season, or he's going to be challenging his minutes. So it looks like it's Wood's place to start. He actually scored 14 goals last season in just 1,008 minutes. Like most of the team create for him, he's basically fixed it in the penalty area, and Alanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi and as well as Gibbs White are chief suppliers. And then on them, it's no surprise there with the top 3 point scoring midfielders last season. Gibbs White looks to have lost corners. He's still on penalties. Alanga, from what I've read, is most prone to rotation of the 3 of them, and Hudson-Odoi slightly more goal threat. They all finish similar. I think that maybe there's a punt in there for the start of the season. I don't really like any one more than the others, but
yeah, I think I heard that like Hudson-Odoi got like it was something like 6 goals or something from like 1.5 xg or something like that. Yeah. So it was like a massive over performance of it, like his goals to xg ratio. So there's something about Forest I just don't love. Like I don't know, like I don't know what it is. Like I just can't trust them. I had Aina in a couple of my drafts, and I just look at it and I'm just like, why am I going there? Like, literally why?
When there's like good well, you could get a Tottenham defender for 4.5 in Van der Ven, I think, and you can get Man United centre backs, Newcastle, Villa. I just think they're all teams that are going to be at the top end of the table, and yeah, you don't really want to mess around transferring your 4.5 million defenders, but I feel like you could be with them. But they've got good fixtures, so if you're playing an early wildcard, there's maybe a potential advantage in having one from the start.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree. I think Wood is good as well. Like you said, like he probably is the guy that's like not injury prone.
Yeah. And
out of those players, and probably going to start most of them at least. So I don't know. Like I just don't trust them.
No, same. They're a bit mixed. All right, who should we talk about now? We've got one more team before we talk about maybe our drafts.
Yeah, I got one more team and then a couple of notable mentions to it as well. So Man City, I mean, I guess we'll talk about them. Like their fixtures are good. The start of the season, obviously Chelsea, I think is still a good fixture. Like Haaland scored a hat-trick in pre-season against them. 4-4 as well in that one of the games in the league last season. Like Ipswich at home, obviously great fixture. And then West Ham, Brentford, Arsenal, Newcastle, like, yeah, they're fine. So the preseason form, like a 4-2 win, a 3-2 loss, a 2-2 draw, and a 3-4 loss. So they've had some mixed preseason, but most, if not like 3/4 of their starters have been out and like not back yet. So not looking at that too much, and they're still scoring 4 against a almost full strength Chelsea team. So there's that. Like people are talking about Bob like a lot at 5 million, and like I'm not sold on this at all. Like he's supposedly like the number 1 backup to Haaland now, which seems kind of crazy. Like Alvarez is obviously gone. He can play across all of the sort of front 3 or 4 apparently. But like there's still Bernardo Silva, there's still Doku, there's still Grealish, there's still who else is there? Like there's that Savio guy that's just coming. De Bruyne, Foden,
Nunez, Grealish.
Grealish. Yeah, there's so many options still, even though they've just got rid of Alvarez. That like Bob is still a fringe player for me. Maybe he will start the first game or something like that, but I don't know. Just like past that, I think this is pretty unlikely to be honest. But 2 goals, 3 assists in preseason, sure. He's playing. That's literally what preseason is for these fringe players to play. So maybe he's just playing those games because that's literally what the fringe and preseason is for, isn't it? Like those fringe players get games to try and prove themselves, and obviously he's been doing well. But for me, it just seems too risky. I'm not going to go there. I think we'll see probably a close to first team in the Community Shield, and I guess we'll take it from there. If he looks like he's starting that and scores like 2 goals, then maybe he'll be an option. But for now, not for me.
There's no nailed on player in the City team. We've always said that. Like even the wide players. Like if you just have a look at the minutes from previous season, like Rodri, who's like their most consistent player, has still played like 300 minutes less. Foden was their highest scoring player last season, just played 2,800 out of about 3,200 minutes. So there's always none of their even their defenders, like Walker played the most minutes, 2,700. Next was Ruben with 2,500. So they're not. We know this. They're not nailed.
Even the goalkeeper don't play them all.
Yeah, they're not. Then you're never going to get like a player that's going to start all 38 games. Haaland might.
I mean, I think Vardio is close. Like after his season last year, like I think he should start. I think he'll start most games. Kind of like Cancelo when he was the first choice, and just like he was just the second player who you could pretty much rely on for just playing all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Vardio is possibly that now. He's been playing centre back during preseason. Like I think he's played 2 of the 4.
He got an assist as well. I saw
he did get an assist from centre back as well. So. But he's only been playing centre back because they've basically got no defenders at the moment. So fair enough. Haaland has scored 5 goals in preseason. He's 41% when I made these notes. He's probably higher than that, I imagine, by now. Scored a hat-trick against his game week 1 opponent in Chelsea the other day, and they had a good back 4. Obviously, Pep said he had muscular niggles, which we have heard him have before, but he played the next game, scored 3. So assume he'll play the Community Shield, and just assume from there he'll be absolutely fine. Yeah,
42% ownership. You're right. Well, we did a check when the game first launched, and it was 30. So he hasn't gone up as much as I would have thought, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm just like in the opinion at the moment, as like we've been discussing, like Salah and Haaland, I suppose, as just being like, I'll own them to start with, and then I'll just see what happens. I think they're safer. It's way easier to go down from them than it is to get back up to them. I think you'll probably be committing to just not owning Salah or one of them, I guess. Would you? What would have to happen for you to try and get back up there?
Don't know. First wild card? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
I don't know. Which probably might happen within the first 8 game weeks. I don't know. I think maybe it's not, and obviously it remains to be seen. But I think based on how much Salah is, I think there's other options in Saka, Son, and Palmer, and even Foden, who have done like as well as him last season, and those players have now got like history and pedigree. So I think when you factor in Haaland's price and the fact that you're probably going to captain him most weeks, That's a lot for a player who you're not going to captain when there's going to be other players around him who are going to score similar.
Yeah, I'm
Does that
kind of
make
in
sense?
the park of if I was going to go for one, it would be Salah, and I'd get rid of Haaland.
Right.
Just because I think you can have Watkins, Isaac, and maybe Havertz as just three really good strikers that you basically don't need to change ever.
Yeah.
So
That's why
yeah,
this
and then
season's going to be great, because I think everyone's going to be different. Like and when the game first launched, I thought, oh yeah, that I could spend all that money that I don't have from Haaland. But like now, I just think I'm going to be wanting to captain him most weeks over Salah. I don't know. And I think that's why this season's going to be hopefully really like a lot of variance, because there's going to be people will be ripping up their teams after game week 1 if Salah scores and Haaland doesn't, and maybe vice versa.
Yeah, so Salah is a notable mention. I'll just go on to these, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, he's had a full preseason with Liverpool. He's looked sharp. Apparently, he's been quoted or has been looking incredibly sharp and fit. So yeah, he's been involved in. I think I haven't got his actual numbers down, but I think he's got a few assists, a couple goals, and yeah, Salah's looking good. I guess like he's got a shaved head now, as people are saying that he's got his
mojo back.
He's serious. He's ready to get the golden boot and all that stuff. So, yeah, another season of Salah. He does look super. Like you see with his shirt off, and he looks like a goddess or god, not goddess.
And they've got good fixtures as well to start the season, haven't they, Liverpool?
Fixtures are great, yes. So there is that as well. Like just looking at the fixtures, and I look at Salah, and I'm just like, how can I not go there? Like, it seems crazy. Like, on penalty still, like, maybe he'll lose them, but probably unlikely. He's just, yeah. And then there's Trent. Like, I would love to own Trent. Like, I really would. I think those fixtures are so good.
Yeah.
But especially for him, for attacking wise. Like, is there going to be many clean sheets? Not sure. But, yeah, we're not sure how good Slot's defense is, I suppose. But, yeah, maybe Trent's a bit of a risk to start with because he's not had any minutes, but and Bradley is obviously a good
replacement,
sort of make weight. Yeah. So, but yeah, Salah, I'd like to have Jota. I think Jota is a good option. I think he's started the last 2 preseason games, and he's got a good few returns in them as well. I think he got what have we got down there? Yeah, he started 2 of the last 4. 2 assists against Man United in the last one. So that when they won 3-0. So and he missed a golden chance as well. So he's obviously getting the positions, and he always does well when Jota starts. So, but obviously, if he gets a start in the first week, that doesn't mean he's going to start the next week. So there is still all that rife rotation there with just Szoboszlai, Jota, Gakpo, Nunes, Diaz. Salah's the only one that's going to stay. Elliott is looking like he should be pushing for the start. Jones is there.
They want to sign someone as well, don't they? From Real Sociedad. I forget what his name is.
Yeah, Zubimendi or something.
Oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah. So yeah, like Salah, I think is.
I know you're worrying me about not having Salah, but.
Well, you were worrying me about Son earlier, so you know.
That's true. That's true.
And then just like Havertz, I guess, is the other just notable mention. I was going to say, like, 8 million forward. I still think he's a great option. He the last game against Leverkusen, the last friendly, it looked like mostly a sort of first team, other than possibly Saka, who did play the second half, got 45 min. But yeah, Havertz, he played sort of left mid in a 3, but he was like super going forward still. He was like perfectly fine to get in. He was in the box quite a lot still. And yeah, Jesus started. So Jesus is fit, which is obviously a worry for his minutes. But at the same time, so he could be playing a reverse out of position role, which is obviously not great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Jesus went off and Havertz stayed on. Like, I think that's going to happen all the time. And he got lots of goals at the end of last season of just like staying on the pitch, of just playing 90 minutes, which he was doing. I think he got 30 starts out of, or something like that last season. So yeah, I think he's a good option. I think Jesus is not going to stay fit. I think Havertz is absolutely the starting striker still, to me anyway. And he's in my team at the moment, I think. So I can't even remember what I sent you, but I think he's a great option still. People are worried about Jesus' minutes, and I just don't think it's that much of an issue.
They played so well with him to close out the season last year, and his attacking returns were great, like 23 across the season. If he continued that rate for like a full season, he missed like 8 games essentially. Well, he only had 30 starts, so Yeah, he got
Yeah.
180 points. Was he listed as a midfield though last season?
He was a midfielder
so he
last
would,
year. Yeah.
That's right. So he would lose, a fair amount of points there. But no, I think he's going to be a good pick, and he's definitely a decision because he's 2.5 million less than Saka.
Yeah, and he's like, we saw an 8 million forward last year in Watkins, who just smashed it out the park, and he didn't have penalties or anything, or any set pieces or anything like that. So, Havertz is sort of in that mold, and he just looks like he's almost integral to that team now. I don't think he's going anywhere.
No. Right, let's have a look at our teams. We've got about 6 minutes to do a short wrap up on our team. So let's do my team first, because I've at least seen yours. You can still be shocked by it. I'll read it out where we are at the moment. So 3-4-3, 4.5 million goalkeeper in Flecken, backup just the Brentford backup. At the moment, I've gone crazy in defence. I've got Saliba, Porro, and Gvardiol. So I've basically gone for some big hitters across the back line with 4.0 GPs in Bednarak and Johnson. Midfield, I've got Son, Saka, Eze, and Rodgers. And then up front, Haaland, Isak, and Muniz. So I think it's, it looks like an okay team. I think the biggest pain points at the moment to try and make a team are definitely like the right-hand side of the screen. So Gvardiol could easily be 2 4.5 rotating players. Rodgers is a bit of an unknown for me. Like, he's been playing really well in pre-season, and the word is he's going to basically be playing number 10 behind Watkins. So I kind of feel like at 5 million he could be a game breaker if he has a good start to the season. Their fixtures are okay, and Muniz, like we talked about, I'm still not sure about how good Fulham actually are and how good he actually is. But I think I prefer him to Wood, and they've got decent fixtures, including that Man United game. So, yeah, I think it's, like I say, I'm happy with the majority of it. I think Porro seems good for the first two. I think I've got a lot of money in defence. Maybe it's too much. So, yeah, that's where we are at the minute.
So, yeah, like most people don't have an Arsenal defender.
I quite like that. I've had Arsenal defender pretty much from the start. I just think it seems like a good banker clean sheets in game weeks 1 and 3, and their defence was so good last season. Are they really going to fall off? And when they're the same price as City, Gvardiol, let's say, and Saliba, in my instance, is going to play every minute, it just seems like someone I'm not going to get rid of. They're going to get clean sheets. He might get an attacking return or two. He might get an occasional bonus. So, I don't know. It just seems like maybe it's a bit of a thoughtless pick. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe I should be looking at other options, but I like the security of it, really.
So if you were going to downgrade one, it wouldn't be Saliba.
No, it would probably be Gvardiol, to be honest.
Yeah, interesting. Because I have Gvardiol in my team, and I don't have Saliba. So yeah, I should probably look at Arsenal defense more. I don't know. I just can't see them. Like, I feel like they should drop off at least a bit. Like that was just a really crazy performance of just clean sheets last year. I just don't know if that's going to continue. And Saliba's obviously going to be nailed, but he's a bit boring compared to most other picks, I guess.
But the reason, but he's got, like, the other ones have got threat. That's my thought now, especially with that Calafiori coming in. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There may be more rotation. Maybe Arteta's planning more like Pep. I don't think White's a funny price at 6.5 million.
Yeah,
because there isn't like another, and I don't know about backing Liverpool defenders yet, even though their fixtures are good. I don't know what, because primarily I'm thinking about the clean sheet. So, yeah, Saliba's been in from the start, and I don't know. I don't really want to change that now because I feel like that wouldn't be my decision. Do you know what I mean?
I think that makes sense. I'm certainly going to need to look at Arsenal a bit more. Just the reliability of them makes sense, but at the same time, you could possibly wait to them until, like, I think it's trying to get the fixtures up here. I think it's game week 6, when they start to get like really good, where you can just have you wild card around there. You got Leicester home, Southampton home, Bournemouth away. You got Liverpool home. That's a tough run.
Mixed at the start, admittedly.
Yeah.
But then we've got 3 home games in the first 6, which you'd expect potential clean sheets: Wolves, Brighton, and Leicester. Yeah. And I don't know, 6 million for a defender of theirs doesn't seem too bad. But you've got me worried about not having Salah, to be honest. So, but I don't know. I like Sons for the first 2 fixtures. I always like Saka, even though he's not super exciting, and I feel like there's 3 captaincy options there. Should we take a
No,
look
I agree.
at your team as well?
Yes.
So I was quite. There's some nice names in here when I looked at this morning. Barco, I liked. I wasn't expecting, and your midfielder from Spurs, I liked as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got Flecken and the Vladimir Marasan guy. At the moment, like, that could be anyone, any 4.5 right now. Like, I'm really not sure which keeper I'll go with. Yeah, Munoz is in there. Like, I absolutely think he's going to stay. He's going to be in all my drafts, I hope, anyway. Yeah, I've got Barco in there, just a 4.0 starting at the moment, just because I think that it's a better fixture. He's like on set pieces. So I think it's a better fixture than the West Ham away and away for Robertson and Konsa. So I'm happy with him starting. He supposedly was injured for a bit, but apparently it was just a precaution. He's fine. So he should be starting the season with Estepinian out. And yeah, I think most people are not going to play him. And I'm hoping if I play him, he's going to get like sort of an assist for a sort of corner. Possibly a clean sheet. Who knows in that game? Like Everton aren't that great attacking, are they? So yeah, I think that's a possibility. I've got Vardy in there at the moment. You know, the talk about Arsenal defense is certainly interesting. So let's see how long that lasts, I suppose. Yeah, I do own Salah and Haaland. Yeah, so the midfield is Salah, Eze, Jacob Murphy at the moment, and Nkunku. Interesting you didn't have Nkunku, which is a surprise.
Just the way I've structured the squad, really. Just I fancied Saka, or I feel like two premiums in midfield. But yeah, no, I quite like, you know, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike Nkunku either. I think it's just a different way the team's structured. Yeah,
so and then my front three is Havertz at the moment, Isaac, captain, and Haaland. And then the bench is that Bergval from Spurs. Supposedly he's probably not going to start straight away, but he's going to be knocking on the door as just a centre mid, sort of possibly an 8. And he's looked good in preseason. I think he's got possibly a goal, maybe an assist or something. And all you really want from a 4.5 million midfield is just to get some minutes, and that's probably enough. And like there's Winks, but I think Winks is a 4.4 waiting to happen. Whereas Bergval, you know, he's got under 1% ownership, and you could probably just leave him in there and hope he starts to get. You know, I think what's his name? Hoiberg's gone, so he's going to be the backup that's going to come straight into these games, and he might start ahead of Sarr as well. So yeah, I like him. And then I've got Konsa and Robertson to rotate when I'm not playing Barco. They rotate really well together. And yeah, they're two decent enough defenses. Yeah, I need to look at. I'm certainly not definitely happy with it. Like this is far from nailed on. Like Havertz is a good pick, but he's not on penalties and sort of stuff like that. So, and Nkunku not on penalties, Murphy not on. I don't really have all that many penalty takers and stuff. So, yeah, there's things to think about for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely after this weekend, I feel like we'll know more. All the teams will have played their final game, and yeah, we'll have more insight. All right, well, should we wrap it up there and then reconvene, or have you got any final thoughts? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say just having Salah is nice to know. Like not having Saka or whatever like that. Like it's just I can get to them afterwards. I guess. Like I can just sell Salah if I want to, but you know his fixtures are so good. Maybe I'm probably never going to want to do that. This is the problem with having them both, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah, it's like having Salah and that price point. It's just like a little comfort blanket, isn't it? That you've got there. So no, I think I can understand it.
And just on the 5-on-5s, like I really want to play Minte or Minter at Brighton. I think is a great option as well. Like I love what he looks like. He's just been tearing it up in preseason. Looks like he's probably going to start ahead of Adingra apparently, which is a shame for Adingra because he's been good. But yeah, Minte could break the game as well, as you say. Like the Rodgers, like I want to have Rodgers, like that would be great, but I'm just not sure if he's definitely going to play.
Exactly, yeah.
I feel like he probably will, but like they had their first team out basically the other day, and it was only Watkins that I could see. Like Ramsey played, like McGinn, Tielemans, all of them played. So people seem to think that Ramsey will be the one that goes out and Rodgers stays in the team for Watkins. That is. And I'm just like, I don't know. Ramsey was like sort of the golden child of Aston Villa like a couple of years back, wasn't he? So, but maybe Rodgers has taken that over. I don't know.
I think the problem with the fourth or fifth defender spot this year is because we're trying to cram so many like premium defenders in because we feel like we've got the budget. It ends up being that like your fourth defender is like it's nearly a cheapie. I mean, like you've got Murphy, I've got Rogers.
You mean fourth midfielder? You mean?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, fourth midfielder like end up being a bit of a cheapie. So yeah, maybe that'll change by next week.
Yeah, yeah. It could be to spread and just get like someone, Gordon instead of a Murphy as the fourth.
Right, we'll wrap up now and then we'll reconvene next week. So thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next time.